Howdy, everybody. It's Kentucky Ranger. My lovely wife, Karla. My sister,
Hello.
and Junebug. And this is usually where we do Mondays with Mom when we're doing the snack crates and everything. Our Universal Yums. This time we're doing something a little more serious. Her book is just getting ready to get published. Bruises from Within.
It's published, but it's not out yet.
Well, okay. Well, that's what I mean. They're just getting ready to publish. It's done, but it's not out yet.
They still have to print it.
Yeah, they still have to print it. Mm-hmm. So we're going to discuss the book a little bit. And
it will be on Amazon.com.
Yeah. And when it is, the link will be in the description of the video. We don't have a link right yet, but we will. So anyhow.
And we will be giving 3 copies out to one of you that enters our live stream. Well, that's going to be later.
Oh, okay. I guess we're going to do a live stream. She's going to give 3 books away.
Yeah.
This is just sort of a discussion about the book and why it got wrote and all that good stuff. So that, I guess, be the first question. Why did you write Bruises from Within?
Well, I wrote the book because I've been through domestic violence of 20 years. And I thought maybe my story could help somebody out there. Because I believe that everyone knows... Oh, okay. I believe everyone knows someone that's been through domestic abuse. Or even someone in your family, or maybe a friend that you suspect, or just an acquaintance that you suspect is going through abuse. Well, I thought this book would open up the dialogue for talking about domestic violence. Or maybe the person you suspect's in domestic violence could read this book, maybe give it to them as a birthday gift, any kind of gift. This book would open someone's eyes about domestic violence. And maybe they can compare their self to me, what I went through, and say, hey, wait a minute. This ain't right, what's going on. So that's why I wrote this book, to help others.
Well, other than that, there's a lot of spirituality in the book, right?
Yes. Yes.
So there's that connection. Mm-hmm. Plus, abuse is abuse, and you don't have to be male or female, because that kind of stuff goes on both sides. Mm.
Yes.
In fact, all 3 of us here have been through
domestic
violence
of some sort.
Domestic abuse, I guess.
Yes.
Mine wasn't exactly violence. It could have been. I could write a book about what I went through, but everybody, it's a all-around book about what she went through, her experiences, and the spirituality behind what got her through it. Mm-hmm. So, you got any questions, Sheree, or moments?
Yeah. I haven't been able to read the book yet, obviously, but one thing that I do know, depending on your abuser, is when you have decided that you've had enough, I know that there's a right way and a wrong way to get out of the situation, because you could potentially put yourself, and if you have children, your children, in danger.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
You can talk about how you were able to get away.
You discuss that in your book here, don't you?
Yes.
About how you left, and how you got out of the situation.
Now, the way I left 2 different men from domestic abuse. Donald and Cherie came to get me in Florida. I wrote about that. And there's many different plans. I started, which I don't think it made it in the book, but for some reason, I don't know why. When I was leaving Roy, that is one of the main characters in the book, but I've changed his name to protect, everybody. And plus, I just didn't want to put his name in the book. I started getting things together. My daughter's birth certificate, her Social Security card, all of her vital information, because she was 8 years old at the time. and I started getting that kind of stuff together. Sometimes you may want to put your marital license in a suitcase or a safe place. Now, the way I did things may be different from the way someone else will do things, but put your vital information, birth certificate, your birth certificate, all of your children's shot records, all the things that your children need. And there is help out there. That's another one of the reasons. And I put some stuff in the book that would let people know that there is help out there.
Right.
And a lot of times you may ask why I chose Bruises from Within. And there's a reason for that title. It starts out as emotional abuse. That's what the bruises from within means. It's the emotional abuse, the stuff you tuck down, you keep your mouth shut.
Right.
And that's why the book is called Bruises from Within. It's the black and blue marks that you don't see.
Right.
And men can get abused as well as women. So it goes both ways. But I say she because I'm referring to me. And I wrote the book to maybe help others realize, hey, wait a minute, he's calling me a bad name all the time.
Right.
That's emotional abuse. And there's different facets of abuse. There's sexual abuse, there's drug abuse, addiction goes in with this. That's what I write about also. And my story could be your story. So I wanted to be informative on things that I did to get out. And it's not easy because they brainwash you every day.
Right.
You're fat, you're ugly. This is what I was told. And
You're
so,
nothing without me.
Exactly. Nobody will want you with kids.
Yeah.
You name it. You're too short, you're too fat, whatever it is. That's emotional abuse. And I write about that.
Yeah, well, see, that's the one, because I designed the cover, and the reason I did what I did is because I took a picture of her where she's all made up and everything. That's like your outer shell that you're not showing what's inside, and then the shatter is how you get to a point where it just your life shatters, and you
Yeah.
that pretty shell gets broken away, and you finally decide to do something about it. So that's why I designed the
This
cover the
book,
way I did.
this is me at the age of 25. I was actually looking in a mirror, but I wanted the
Right.
cover to reflect your life as a mirror, mirroring back at you what
Yeah, in
you're
other
not
words, well, that's what I
accepting.
mean, because you're all made up and everything. And
That's me at 25.
It's shattering that stigma that everything's okay, and you fake smile and everything when everything's going crazy on the inside. Mm-hmm. So,
And that's what all of this means, because with the emotional abuse, what I wanted to convey to everybody is if you could see the shattering part of your inner self where you've been abused emotionally, and it does get physical. So all of this is what this is.
yeah, it's
This book is
physical
about.
abuse, mental abuse. It just is.
Financial abuse,
Yeah.
sexual abuse. Mine would tell me, "Well, I shoved you, I slapped you. If I would have punched you."
I'm sure it's in the book where he taped the blind shut so you couldn't.
Oh no,
open
they
it.
didn't put
Oh,
that
they
in
didn't
there.
Put that in there.
No,
Oh,
I forgot to add that.
whoops.
But and also control follows this too.
Yeah.
He knew my every movement. He was critical of everything I did when I cooked. He would
Yeah.
even take my window blinds shut so I couldn't simply open the windows. Is that crazy?
Well, that might not be in the book, but there's a whole bunch of other things that are.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're so emotionally beat down, every once in a while you might snap. Well, I
Yeah.
snapped a couple of times in here, so it's in there where I busted
Yeah.
his head.
Yeah, she did.
I stooped to his level, and I hated myself for doing that.
You can only take so much.
Yeah.
But enough was enough. And
That's
sexual
why,
assault,
yeah, in a lot of situations like this end up in murder.
yeah,
One side or the other. Just like, what was that movie, The Burning Bed?
the burning bed with Farrah
You can
Fawcett.
only take so much,
Yeah.
and you're
and you
done.
snap. Well,
But
I
it's the
snapped.
same. It's the same thing. It's just like a lot of these murder suicides. It's the husband saying,
Mm-hmm.
or the spouse, because it goes both ways. What in the world is that noise?
I think it's a refrigerator.
A refrigerator.
Okay, sorry. But no, it gets to the point where the spouse is like, I don't want you, but I don't want anybody else
Nobody
to have
else
you.
will have you.
Yeah, and it's weird the way the human mind works.
Mine used to crack jokes and say, "You're the reason, you bitches are the reason of men going postal." That's a threat.
Yeah.
And even if they act like they're joking, it's a threat.
They constantly make you feel like you're the problem.
Yeah, you're inferior.
It's your problem.
And you're the reason everything is happening.
Or just like if you're going to couples counseling. Now, this isn't in the book, but one of the things we did when he caused me a nervous breakdown, I went to a counselor. And he says, "Well, I'll go to shut you up." So he went. That's the wrong reason to go. He walked right out of the counseling and said, "She's the one with the problem. It's all about her.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems. If she would just do what I would say, I wouldn't have to call her out of her name. I wouldn't have to slap her." But slapping, he used to tell me, "Well, I slapped you. What's the big deal? What's the big what?" If I hit you, he was telling me how to think. And I write about where they brainwash you into what is domestic violence. Pushing, shoving, pinching, degrading you.
Yeah.
Wrote all
Yeah,
about
there's
it.
a lot of the stuff that. Yeah, a lot of spouses, they go into that. Well, I wouldn't have done that if you hadn't of whatever, and I don't know. But anyhow, it's an interesting story. You want to maybe read a little bit?
Yes, let me swap glasses. And this book, I believe it could help a lot of people, even guys, if guys read it. Because,
She's getting old.
huh?
I have bifocal. She has 2 sets of bifocal.
No, one's distance.
Oh, okay.
I'm special. I have 6 eyes, right? Anyway, this is the first chapter, chapter 1, Putting a Face on Domestic Violence. I'm writing this book. I want to put a face on domestic violence. I am the face of domestic violence. It's my face, but it's potentially a face of any, it says woman, but anyone. It could be your face. One day I looked into the mirror. It was the hardest thing I had to do, to take a long, hard look at myself and admit I was an abused woman. Like many abused women. Now, I say women a lot, but this goes for everybody. The hardest thing I had to do was take a long, hard look at myself and admit I was an abused woman. Like many abused women, I was living in denial. Karla, you're in an abusive relationship. It is my sincere hope that sharing my journey will allow you to walk in my shoes, that you will see the abuse and that you will see through the victim's eyes why we stay. I want my readers to fully understand why so many women stay. I had so many people asking me when I was in the domestic violence shelter, asking me what people would ask me. Everyone that knew I was in there says, "Why did you stay? Did you like to get hit?" If anybody says that to you, whether it's male or female, that's wrong thinking. I write about in this book why the cultures of women are raised. Some of this stuff is, we're taught to accept domestic violence. Would y'all agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because women were known in the 50s and 60s and so on. We were the man's property, and what we said didn't matter. But I wanted to shed some light on this so people could start talking about this subject.
That's one thing that we've come a long way in our society today, especially women in abusive relationships. There's so many opportunities for you to get out of it and become your own person. Back in the 60s and 70s, it was really
horrible.
hard, because if a woman divorced and was left by herself, she didn't have much choice to do anything.
The law enforcement back then
No.
did not take it serious.
No, they didn't.
I know that from my mother's experience
Yeah.
and my brother and I, what we went through. the law was called several times, but nothing was ever
nothing
done.
was
They
ever
didn't
done.
take it serious.
And the thing about it is, if she had gotten a divorce, what do you do? Because
Yeah.
There
a
wasn't-
woman back then
Yeah.
didn't have really any rights.
No, and there
mo-
were the programs there are now.
Yeah, and social program. Yeah, they were non-existent back then.
And a lot of women back in those days, because I've talked to many other generations of women, especially in my family, that said you just had to marry another man and pray he wasn't abusive to
Yeah.
your kids. So that there is a lot of problem within that.
Yeah, and that
He could be just
makes
worse.
it even more complex because now you're a married woman looking for another husband while you're
Yeah.
still married, and that makes it even worse because now you're looked down on even more because how dare you cheat on your husband? Well, what a lot of people don't realize is your husband's beating up on you or doing whatever. So in that sense, our society nowadays is a lot better than it was
Yeah.
back in the.
It's a scary thing to
Yeah.
take that step, but
Yeah.
just remember
It
you're
is.
stronger
Yeah,
than
even
you think
today,
you
it's
are.
it's still a scary step today.
Yeah.
When I left Roy, it was in 2001. And this November 19th will be the anniversary
Yeah.
of 19 years that I've been away from him.
But
And he's deceased now. He died 3 years into this book being published. And I'm relieved that he's not going to read it. Of course, I don't think he would have read it anyway, but nonetheless, it makes me a little more relaxed. And anybody that's been through this, and let alone dared to tell their story, which I know my story is not any different than anybody else's. It's not special. I just write about my truth.
yeah, and people like that, they don't change because right up until the day he died, he never apologized to her for anything he ever did because he didn't think he ever did anything wrong.
And he can vouch for that
Yeah.
because he witnessed all of it.
But,
Well, not
yeah,
all of
and-
it, but
and-
the last
Yeah,
part.
it makes it more difficult, especially when you're a homemaker
Yeah.
when all this happens. Because like when my first wife, did what she did with me, it didn't. It affected me financially because she left me in debt up to over my eyeballs. I mean, it took me a long time, quite a few years to get out of the situation that she put me in. But the thing about it was, I had a job, I had a good career. So as far as that, it was a huge bump in the road, but I was able to get through it. Well, you take a homemaker that
No skills.
isn't working.
And plus,
Well, I shouldn't say no. You shouldn't say no skills. But as far as the workforce,
it
their
paid you
workforce
less.
they were homemakers. They were raising their kids, kept the house up and everything. Well, now they're out on their own, and
What do you do?
It's scary.
what do you do? Yeah,
And I write all about that also.
yeah. And
in
a lot
the
of
book.
these shelters, well, the one that you were in, basically let you stay there for what 6 months, and then said you're on your own. See you.
Yep.
No retraining, no nothing.
They didn't have
Nothing.
any vocational training such
Yeah.
as managing a household. I write about
Anything.
things like that
Yeah.
because I didn't know how to write checks. Mind you, I left home at 16 to be with this man.
Yeah.
And when I left him, I was 36 years old. I didn't know how to pay bills. He's still helping me on that aspect, and he understands my
I made
insecurity.
I made her some videos.
Well, I've got to learn.
Yeah.
And see, that's another thing. Women that leave these situations, their skills, they'll probably get the lowest paying job, custodial job, a maid job, a
anything
housekeeper
they can
job.
get, yeah.
That's what I had because I had no education.
Yeah.
I tried to get my education, but due to my dyslexia, I wasn't able to finish and get my GED. And see, that's another thing. You know, if you have a person that's in abuse that has a learning difficulty,
Yeah.
like I have dyslexia, you know, it makes it twice
oh yeah,
as
it makes
hard.
it even harder.
And a lot of women turn to marrying somebody else that can help them support their family. And I know there's programs with housing and things like that. And this
Yeah,
will
but it's
give
only for a
you,
limited time.
yeah, this will
Clock's
give
ticking.
this will give you ideas Because with Florida, they had programs at that time. They probably have something new now, where they could help you
Hopefully.
relocate to another
Yeah.
state. I even talk about transitional housing that can help you get set up, but
Yeah.
you got to account for everything you do. I even talk about being sexually harassed in this book by my caseworker at the
Yeah, social services.
yeah. I wrote about that. I wrote about what I did about it. So just because I have dyslexia, I got her to stop, because
Yeah.
what she was doing, she was threatening me. Well, I'll cut off your food stamps. I'll cut off your Medicaid. Well, I was working at a Hotel 8 and making minimum wage, trying to go to school in the daytime and working half part-time. And plus, I got cheated out of 2 weeks' pay. You remember that.
Yeah.
And, there's a will, there's a way. I managed to get that paycheck
Yeah,
after
years
him and
later.
I married. Yeah. Hey, $400 is good money, And
Yeah, that's another thing.
So-
One of the reasons it took so long to get this book out is she has severe dyslexia, and so the proofreading of this book took a while. But
Yeah.
she got her thoughts out. They did an awesome job getting it all straightened out for the book. So, it just goes to show you, even if you do have limitations like dyslexia, it's
you
not the
can
end of the world. And
persevere
you
and overcome.
can. What's it's like with me? I've got mild dyslexia, but I have a 20-year truck driving career. How in the world I drove a truck in all 48 states, and I got lost. I got lost quite a bit, but it wasn't too bad. And I did it. And I didn't run over anybody. Actually, I drove millions of miles and never had a bad accident. Not that I haven't been in them, but they were all not my fault. So I shouldn't say I ain't been in a lot. I've been in 3. One was pretty bad, but nobody really got hurt or anything like that. I mean, so I did all right, and she did really good on this book.
It was difficult to write. Now, if you ask
Right.
me what would be my advice to someone out there, whether you know of someone that's in this type of situation of domestic violence, my advice would be sometimes you just have to listen. If they're telling you what's going on with their husbands and you try to tell them, well, leave. Sometimes just listening, and then when they do leave, reach out and help them. Help them get on Medicaid if they need it, food stamps if they need it, and don't
Yeah.
look down your nose at anybody that is getting assistance from the government.
No.
Because you know what? That lady or that man, maybe that's all he's got to feed his children.
Yeah.
So let's be compassionate to the person and always be there. And sometimes just take them the book and say, I think you might like this book to read. Because sometimes people don't know what is out there. Now, when I went through this, I didn't know about getting on food stamps. I didn't know about getting on Medicaid for my daughter. And we got to make it about the children, because they are our tomorrow. And what you teach them today by staying with a man that you can't deal with because of the abuse, the domestic violence, it helps the children to be strong. My daughter, I was raising her through this, and let me tell you, it makes a difference. She dated one young man that was, I believe, verbally abusive, and I could see myself through my daughter's eyes, and it's like, oh Lord, I was reliving what I was going through with my ex through my daughter's eyes. But there's so much in this book, I believe, that would be of real value. Now, they're only going to sell it, I believe, it's marked on here, $12.95. But I'm going to...
Well, the link and the price will be in the description when
Yeah.
it comes out. So,
And it should be out within a week, I'm hoping. That's what I've been
give
told.
them a date. It should be out in December.
Probably the first week of December.
Yeah, first week of
And,
December. So, if you're watching this beforehand, just keep checking back, because it'll
Yeah.
for sure middle of December. It definitely should be out before Christmas. So
Definitely.
be a good Christmas present.
But remember, Author to Author is going to go live when this book is out, and Kentucky Ranger will post this on his channel. Sheree, do you have a channel?
Yeah.
She's got a channel. Tell them what your channel is.
I think it's just under Cherie Carpenter. Cherie. He can send a link to it.
Well, I don't know whose channel the live stream. You can only live stream on one channel.
Well, it'll be Author to Author. You'll have to help me through that
the
again.
problem is you have to have so many subscribers to the channel and all that.
Well, scratch that. It'll
It'll be on my channel. We'll do the
Ranger.
live stream on my channel.
And do some more questions.
We'll do some questions.
I'll give away 3
She'll
books.
give away 3 books.
3.
Not sure how we're
Autographed.
going to do it, but we'll do it randomly throughout the stream.
One thing I was going to say, if you have a friend or relative that you suspect is going through something like this, don't feel like you have to say some profound thing.
No.
Because a lot of times, even though I've been through it, I don't even know everything to say because it's such a touchy thing. A lot of times they just need you to be there.
Yeah, just be there as a friend.
Just be there.
Yeah.
Just
That's
be there.
all you need.
And, a lot of times there's different spectrums of abuse, whether it be physical or emotional. Sometimes these abusers, they're not stupid. They play mind games. So it may be something subtle.
Yeah.
Just remember, if you feel funny about something's been done to you, it don't matter if it's just some subtle, snide remark. That's abuse.
Calling you fat shaming you in front of their friends or family is abuse, emotional abuse.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I know I have.
And then when I finally left my first husband, he didn't want me, and he made my life miserable. But when I finally got enough courage to leave, he smeared my name.
Yeah.
So, if something like that happens, you just hold your head up high.
Yeah.
Yes. Mine did that to me.
Oh, hers.
And he even took out 5 credit cards in my name, and it took me to 2013 to actually straighten up my name.
Trying to get DirecTV in your...
And my daughter's name. Oh, that was horrendous. I was so mad. And my daughter was 3 years old at the time, and I had turned him in for getting a bootleg or a chip box that gives you all the free satellite channels. Well, they're going to send me the bill. I said, I don't live there. No. And how do you make a contract with a 3-year-old child?
All these years later, every once in a while you get a phone call from credit card companies and names that you never never had.
And that's another thing. That is credit card fraud and abuse, stealing your identity.
Yeah.
That's another one of the abuses.
Well, that's another thing. If you do have something like that happen, call the credit company and dispute it because it's not yours. We had 4 of them taken off of your credit report because they were fraudulent.
Yep.
So just because they do it, don't mean they can get away with it.
No. And I did all the homework. I provided information of where I lived. So start documenting stuff. And just like if you get hit, document it. Have somebody with their cell phone take a picture of your face. Or if he's hit your kids, take a report of some kind because it'll be on file then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's horrendous what they do. And they know what they're doing.
Try not to, if you in the process of leaving and you have children, make sure that you're in a neutral place with them. Don't try to confront them by yourself.
No. Don't say, hey, I'm tired of your garbage. I'm leaving. That's when your life chances go down to be murdered. They will kill you and the kids. How many times have we seen it on TV?
Yeah, that's what happens to the murder-suicide. They blow up, they kill you all, and then they just realize what they just did and they kill themselves.
Like that guy in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
It's all over the news.
Yeah.
And what touched me, I wish I had knew our neighbor girl. I mean, I grew up with Anna Gale. She got murdered almost a year to this day. She was trying to leave her husband. High school sweetheart Nobody never knew. We didn't know. Or I would have helped her somehow. I would have reached out. I did not know. But we've got to open our eyes to what's right there in front of us.
A lot of times there's red flags, but people miss them.
Yeah. I know I missed a lot of red flags with Roy.
Well, they miss them or they choose to ignore them.
Yeah.
They know they're there.
And mine was
the elephant's in the room. They just don't. They don't
see it.
acknowledge.
You
They don't
brush it
acknowledge
off.
it. Yeah.
You think you're crazy, you're like, nah.
He didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Right.
another thing. Yeah, you talk yourself out of things.
Yeah.
You-
Or they tell you, well, you know I didn't mean
Yeah,
it that way,
yeah.
honey. I know you're fat, but I still love you.
yeah.
You know, that's a put down. And that's abuse.
So anyway, should be in the stores in December.
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. We'll have the link as soon as it's available.
I'm looking
She
forward
was
to reading
excited about this, so we made the video and we'll live stream after it's out, and everybody can get it, and then we'll have a little live discussion.
Yes.
So hopefully y'all will join us for that. That'll be cool.
It's going to be on Kentucky Rangers.
Yeah, it'll be on this channel, so keep an eye
Kentucky
out.
Ranger.
And I'll have a little video a few days before letting everybody know that we're getting ready to do it.
Tell everybody you know
That's right.
that you run across this channel, that Kentucky Ranger.
Yeah,
We're going to
we're
have
gonna have
a
a live
drawing.
stream.
A drawing.
She's going to give 3 books away, so
3 free books, guys.
who knows? Maybe even one more. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Probably give
Live
one more.
streams are
Who knows?
odd. Yeah, we'll see.
I
what
get
happens.
spontaneous, you know that.
That's right. Junebug might say, "Arf, arf, one more."
Cheese.
See, look at her.
Cheese.
One more.
Say one more.
Give away one more book.
One more
She's
book.
like, yeah, maybe.
She's got to be right where we're at.
Yeah, she's a sweetie.
Girl.
Anyhow, y'all, appreciate y'all watching this.
Muchly love, guys.
Muchly love.
Stay tuned for my book.
Stay tuned, and God bless. We'll
God
see
bless.
y'all.
Muchly love.
See y'all in whatever next thing. I don't know. My channel just goes all over the place.
That's all.
Appreciate y'all watching. God bless. Take care, and we'll see you later.
Muchly
Bye.
love. Bye.